And Brandon, let's move on into our final topic before we go on into our picks for bowl season, but week number 2. And we're diving this topic into the NBA draft. We've talked NFL draft for the first 2, going to change it up, go NBA, and we're going a little interesting topic here. And the way I phrased it, if you were on YouTube and you're looking for the answer is, or could Rui Hachimura be the next Giannis Antetokounmpo, then you'll get that answer later on. I know I'm for sure going to dive into that at some point. But basically, this segment is going to be us talking about how high could Rui Hachimura's draft stock be? Because I was reading an article today trying to find a NBA draft topic for us because, we're in that middle ground where we've got 2 weeks until the big board and kind of bridging us over to that. And there was an article on SirCharlesInCharge.com, which is of the Fan-Sided Network. And this article by Quinn Allen was Rui Hachimura solidifying himself as a legitimate prospect. And I kind of thought to kind of talk about this because if you look at the mock draft that we did on the fast break, we were kind of all over the place, where Sean had Rui at 16, I had Rui at 18, Dave had him all the way up at number 12. So we kind of all have him outside the top 10, but we're kind of a little all over the place of where we have them in between 11 through 20. Then I look at our big board, our top 5, top 10. I had Rui Hachimura at 17 for our 1.0. You had him as high as number 6 in the big board. So the question I want to ask, although on YouTube it says, could he be the next Giannis? We're going to get into that a little later. I'm going to have a thing where I kind of go off into a tangent about that. But Brandon, the thing I want to ask you is with Rui Hachimura, because I think most people have him as a top 20 prospect. How high do you think his draft stock could rise, especially because I'm going to say he's playing with the stigmatism of playing for the Gonzaga Bulldogs, who aren't really used to having guys who are like top 5, top 3 talents in the draft.
I think that we could really see Rui rise to a top 5 talent. Mm-hmm. I really do, because if you look at Gonzaga right now, ranked number 6. Mm-hmm. Number
After
6,
they're 2 back-to-back losses,
with the last one being North Carolina. Mm-hmm. I know that they're up there. They're within the top 10 at least is Gonzaga. They've been a really good team, and really one of the biggest reasons why has been Rui in the way that he's played. Mm-hmm. You look at what he did last season. He was averaging a little over 11 points in about 20 minutes of game time. This year, he's averaging 21 points in 30 minutes of game time.
And they have fallen to 8. I just pulled it up. So the Zags are now the 8th best team in the AP Top 25.
He's also been just a sharpshooter on the floor this year. From the field overall, he's shooting almost 55%. From 3, he's over 40%. Free throw, over 70%. These are numbers that you totally want to see. He's doubling his production. Last year, he only took 26 threes. This season already, he's taken 16. I mean, he's getting up more shots. He's getting more playing time. He is a huge factor. He's an X factor for this team right now. He's going to be a reason why Gonzaga is going to rise, why they're going to be able to go far once they get into the tournament. It's going to be because of Rui. He has just become a different player this season. He's doing more. They're giving him more time, and he's absolutely making the most of it. He's been an exciting player.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, the thing that I'm kind of interested in, I'll say, is the thing that, like, and I mean, Quinn mentions this in his article, is one of the big things is he's having one of his best seasons yet. And the thing that I really look at is I feel like the Dukies, they're going to get the national, spotlight. Then you also have guys like Nasir Little, guys like Bol. Those are also going to have national spotlight to them. I wonder with Rui Hachimura, how much of the national spotlight outside of the college game? Like, I feel like the college basketball aficionados are going to be, they're going to focus on Gonzaga and know what you're getting from them. But I'm talking about the guys who are like NBA guys that are looking at these guys for what they could bring to the NBA. Not many of them are going to be like, oh, the Gonzaga Bulldogs, I know all about them, because although I'm going to say they're a powerhouse, they're not one of the big teams when you come to like Power 5 and stuff. And the thing that I look at is, first off, when Quinn says he's a physical specimen, he's 6'8", 225 pounds, and he's got a 7'2" wingspan. And that, to me, is the most interesting part, because in what I've titled this video and what Quinn goes into at the end of the article is, could Rui be the next Giannis Antetokounmpo? And for me, I'm right now leaning towards no. And the reason why is, when I look at Giannis to me is, nobody expected him to be what he is. A power forward who can play point forward, who's basically the leading scorer on a team, and there's a reason why we call him the Greek Freak, because he does things that are freakish, and he's also to me, more of a physical specimen than Rui Hachimura, where you've got Giannis, who, of course, he's a little bit older than Rui, but he's 6'11", 242. The thing that I wonder with Rui is, will that 6'8" hold him? I don't want to say hold him back, but how will that 6'8" play in the NBA? Because I look at most of the power forwards, like even a Marvin Bagley from last year, he was 6'11". Now, I know that the wingspan, 7'2" wingspan, is nice to have, that long wingspan, but when it comes to that 6'8", is that going to be seen as a little smaller, to where he's not going to necessarily be a power forward? He might be able to slide out, play the power forward, but be more of that stretch four, because of, like you said, he's shooting at a better clip this year from three. But can he use his athleticism? Because even I know this from the Illinois game, because that was the first time I really saw him play this year, was he's a guy right now that has the athleticism to drive into the basket. But I wonder if he was 6'11" with that 7'2" wingspan, would that be better than being 6'8" with that 7'2"? I said 7'10", that 7'2" wingspan. Do you think the 3 inches I'm kind of harping on matter at all?
I mean, 3 inches are always going to make a difference one way or another, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to be such
a deterrent,
a bad thing for him to be at 6'8". I mean, I think he's still going to be able to have a ton of success at 6'8". And those are the things that you get when you're comparing him to Giannis. He's long, he's lean, he's a guy who plays pretty big and powerful. I don't know when you're comparing the two. I still think it's difficult, because obviously we've seen multiple years from Giannis now in the NBA, and we're just starting to see what Rui Hachimura is able to bring. Last year, if we were looking at the same kid from last year, we're probably not having this discussion, because he's certainly not at this level. But he is really coming on. They're giving him the tick. And he's making the absolute most out of it. He's a guy who drives strong in the paint. That is where he is continuing to have great success, is in the paint. He needs to become a little bit more of a consistent jump shooter, but within the paint, that is his bread and butter area. He owns that, and he's going to continue to be better throughout this season. And as I've mentioned so many times with so many players, especially with the NBA, is the consistency. If he continues to be consistent, he is going to start to really get a lot of people thinking he's a top 5 talent in the draft. And that's the thing. But he's also going to, you talk about the NBA guys who are looking at college, and then just the college guys who are looking at college. I'm more obviously the college guys who's just looking at college. He is such a game changer. That is why I'm not saying that Gonzaga would be bad if they didn't have him, but they would certainly not be at the level that they're at and at the ranking that they're at today without him.
No.
Hands down, without a doubt.
And the last thing, this is kind of the last thing I'll put on it is, I feel like, and the exact quote from Quinn, so I'm not confusing anyone here, is, and I quote, "He has great games, then he struggles the next. He has similar traits to Giannis Antetokounmpo in the way he plays. Hachimura has very similar build to the Greek Freak, long, lean, and powerful. Just like Antetokounmpo, he likes to play most of his game in the paint. Hachimura will have to become a more consistent jump shooter inside the perimeter over time, though, because he does struggle at times to make 2-point attempts." The reason why I agree and disagree with what Quinn's going with here, because the thing that I feel like is just like Giannis, he likes to play most of his game in the paint. I don't think he'll be able to do that the same he does in college at the NBA. In the NBA, I see Rui Hachimura as a 3. And the reason why I say that is because of the 6'8" height. Because I'm going to list off some heights for some small forwards. Ignore the names. Kevin Durant, he's 5'9", 240. You've got Paul George, who is, I said 5'9", I meant 6'9". 6'9", 240. Paul George, 6'9", 220. Then guys who were in last year's draft. Luka Doncic, 6'7", 218. Some are going to say shooting guard, but he's listed shooting guard, small forward. Then you've got Kevin Knox, 6'9", 215. Mikal Bridges, 6'7", 210. And then Miles Bridges, 6'7", 225. I feel like Hachimura at the next level is going to be a much better prospect if he is slotted in at that 3 spot compared to the 4 spot. Because Giannis, to me, I know people are going to throw out there and say positionless basketball, but like Giannis is a 4 because he's 6'11", can dominate in the paint. Plus, he can handle the ball and drive in like a point guard. I feel like Rui Hachimura, like, I don't want to say his ceiling, but I'm going to say if he becomes the same type of player, because the question is, could he become the next Giannis Antetokounmpo? I feel like if we're going to answer that question, he's not going to become the next Giannis. He's going to become the next, like, Kevin Durant, the guy who can have the ball in his hands, can shoot from the outside, can drive, can do everything for his team. And I say Kevin Durant because I feel like because he is 6'8", Rui is 6'8", I would put him more in the category of a 3 rather than a 4 in the NBA, even though he has that 7'2" wingspan. But the last question I think I'll have for you, Brandon, is this, just to kind of solidify it in this way, is because also in 2 weeks, since you're going to be on your little sabbatical, I'm going to call it, and won't be on for your big board, the last time we had a big board, you had him at 6. As of right now, do you think there will be any change to that? And B, a little prediction. I know it's early because we're just going to get into conference play, but let's be honest, Rui's conference play is not going to be as hard as like Duke's or somebody like that. All. They're going to run through their conference, and it's probably going to be easy the rest of the year. What percentage would you, the part B is, what percentage would you put on that he's a top 5 pick when we get to the NBA draft in June?
What was A? Could you see him move up in my big board?
Yes, because you had him at 6. So can he move into the top 5 if you did the big board in 2 weeks?
Yes, I would say yes, he can. I think he's been, even while yes, there's going to be some knocks on his consistency of having, a really good game, 33 points, and then he's down at 17 points, in just in the next one. I think he's by far one of the better players right now in all of college basketball, with, of course, all of Duke. With their big three being guys that are solidified in their top three spots right now. But could he move into 4? Could he move into 5? Yes, I definitely think he could. And obviously, without going through everything and reworking the big board and looking at who might slide in, who might slide out, I could definitely see him being someone who could slide up just because of the production and what he's done and what he's doing for his team. And then part B,
the percentage of when we get to June, what percentage, how confident percentage-wise do you feel that he will be then a top 5 pick in the NBA draft?
I'm going to go with 65%.
That's pretty high. I mean, the thought I was thinking in my head is that you were going to say 75%. That's how confident I thought you is. For me, I'm still at about 50% when it comes to top 5 because I can see GMs and scouts falling in love with him because I like what he brings to the game, but I'm looking at him through the lens of a 3, not a 4. But also the thing that kind of, for me, that's going to hamper it is the top 3 picks, I think, are going to be Duke, Duke, Duke. There's no change in that all year unless one goes down with a season-ending injury. So you've got 3 Duke guys there. Then I think that you've got Ball could be in the top 5. Kevin Porter Jr. could play himself into the top 5. You've got guys like John Morant who could play themselves into a top 5. And then there's Rui Hachimura that is playing himself up into that discussion as well. Don't even, I even forgot to mention, a Nasir Little, who's, although I think he's used horribly right now with the Tar Heels, teams could fall in love with him, and Romeo Langford as well. All these guys could be kind of jockeying for that 4 or 5 in the NBA draft. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below about Rui Hachimura. What do you think about him? What do you like? What do you don't like? How does he fit to you in the NBA? And then that question we kind of asked about. I know I was taking it from Quinn's article, but how could he be the next Giannis in the NBA? And take that question. I know this is going to be a Pandora's box, but take that question however you want. I want to hear it from you. How do you take that question? Continue that comment or continue that conversation down below in the comment section.